Hi, welcome to my channel, Acids and Gases. So you can see in front of me here, I have a number of leftovers from various refinings. Over the next few videos, I'm going to process these and turn them from these ugly solutions and beakers into beautiful metals. Before we get started, do you want to say I've been absent for a little while. I'm back, I'm intact. Just want to let everybody out there, a little PSA, hat, sunscreen, your best friend. You don't want to have to go through what I had to. So as we get started here, this first beaker, this has some precipitate. This came from a gold-filled refining. One of the things I found with gold-filled, they're always very dirty drops when you initially do them. And even though the test's not there, generally, it turns out if I give it a day or two or three, a little more will precipitate out, which is very dirty and contaminated, but it contains a reasonable amount of gold. And so we're going to go ahead and clean that up and bring that out. Second, we have the contents of my temporary stockpot. This comes from washing of gold powder. Every time we do that, a little bit of powder will come over some of the light contaminated stuff there as well. We let it settle, decant off most of the liquid, and we're going to go ahead and process that and clean it up as well. And then third here, we have this ugly solution. You can see there's a whole bunch of floaters in there. It's a pretty ugly, not even sure what it is. We'll probably do that in a separate video and talk more about how and where that came from. As you can see, this whatever's in there is eating up this stopper. So we'll look at that. You can see some of it just fell in there again. But I'm pretty sure there's values in it. And finally here, also being a separate video, we have some cement and silver. This has been accumulated over several gold-filled refines. There's not a ton there. You can see it's pretty contaminated with copper. So we'll be going the sugar lye method, and we'll be doing a video on that here in the near future. All right, so let's get ready and get refining. These two are on the left. So for these, first thing we're going to do is we're just going to dissolve the precipitants here in Aqua Regia, and then we'll refine it and clean it from there. So we're going to add a little bit of muriatic acid, hydrochloric acid. Then we're going to go ahead and add a few drops of nitric acid. I don't think there's a lot in here, so I'm probably just going to put probably maybe 4 milliliters. There are some base metals in there, so it might take a little more than usual to dissolve this. All right, got that in there. I'm going to go ahead and put it up on the heat and give it a cover and let that start cooking a little bit. While that's going, take this. We need to drain most of this liquid off. Diluted Aqua Regia works a little bit if you leave a little in there, but there's way too much liquid in there. So we're going to go ahead and put it into this beaker. I'm sure this powder is very fine, so some of it's going to come over. I don't really want to filter all of it. So I'm going to get most of it off. We'll filter the little bit that comes into the beaker and add it into the process, but we'll get most of it out of here and get it started as well. So I'll set this over here. Again, going to put some muriatic acid into this beaker to add. The mouth of the little flask I have there is a little too small to reliably get the muriatic into it. So instead of having to wipe up a spill, I'll just put it in the beaker. Going to add some of that in. Go ahead and grab our nitric here. We'll add probably 3 or 4 milliliters again. I don't expect there to be a lot in here, so I don't want to overshoot it too much. But we'll start there and then see where that takes us. All right, that should do it. So we'll go ahead and get this, give it a little swirl. We're going to add it up onto the heat as well. We'll just put both of these in here and let the Aqua Regia work its magic. While that's going, we're going to go ahead and grab a filter here, and we're going to filter that what we poured off there, capture all that little bit. You can see the water's a little cloudy. We're going to capture that. We're going to try to process all of this leftover stuff, so we're going to filter that. All right, we're going to grab some nitric here. We still have a fair amount of solids in our Aqua Regia on the burner. We're going to give a little more nitric, see if we can't get them to go into solution. We still have a fair amount of fumes, but we have it's slowed down significantly from when it started, and it clearly there's some more solids to be dissolved. So give that a little bit more. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and combine these two solutions into the one beaker. I'll just simplify the process going forward. All right, that gives me my empty temporary stock pot to use a little later. Right. So we've finished our filtering. Take the top off here. I'm just going to grab this filter and dump it right in the Aqua Regia. So you can see there's a nice little coating in there. The Aqua Regia will dissolve the filter, so we'll just go and put this in here. You probably saw when I tipped the beaker there, a little bit came out, so I'm just going to wipe down the inside of this, grab that dust and toss it in there as well. And ready to let that go and finish cooking, get all that gold into solution. So we've pulled our gold off the heat here, our solution. Everything's gone into solution. Fume production's dropped considerably, but we still probably have some excess nitric in here. So we're going to DeNOx this, and that's essentially going to remove our excess nitric. So we're going to bring in sulfamic acid, better known as Grat Cleaner at Home Depot. Sulfamic acid, however you want to say it. We're just going to add it a little bit of time. You can see it gets a pretty instant reaction. And we're going to keep adding this and stirring it until we get no reaction. This is best done warm. We're going to filter after this, so getting this done now, so if you get in a little extra in there, crystals, if they don't dissolve, we'll filter them right out. But this will make it so when we do our drop, we get a nice clean drop. The other nice thing about adding sulfamic is that it also produces sulfuric acid when it reacts with the Aqua Regia. This is going to essentially result in dropping out any lead out of our solution, so that it also filters out without having to actually add sulfuric acid. All right, it's looking pretty good. I think it's time to move on to filtering. So we'll go ahead and get our filter set up here. We're using our number 2 filters and our vacuum filter. Got the vacuum pump over here, and so we'll get that set up. Here we go, and you can see Wattman number 2. Keep going filtering until we get a nice clear, crystal clear solution. All right, so we've completed our first filter. So we'll go ahead and take a look at what we got here. Let's take the filter off, put it in a beaker, and see if I can get the vacuum pump unhooked here. Not too bad that time. That solution, it's clearish. You can still see still a little fog in there. I have a little too much solution for these small beakers, so before I make that mistake, get the slightly bigger beaker over here, and we'll go ahead and pour this solution in. I'm not sure if you can really see the little bit of fog. Hopefully you'll see a difference once we put it through the filter again. So I'm going to dump this off, going to clean out our flask, and then we're going to filter it back through that same filter, which is now jammed up with the stuff it took out the first time. It'll be much harder for things to get through. It's going to capture more solids. Hopefully it leaves us with a nice, clean, clear solution. So we'll get that going. Yeah, I'm just going to hold it up. See here, you can see it's got a little bit of fog in there. It's not, you can't just see straight through it. All right, we're done with our second filtration. Clear that off. You can see not a lot of yellow left in there. We'll put that in our paper storage. This time, if we look at the solution, hold it up here, you can see that is very clear. That is about as crystal clear as I think I was going to get it. So I think we are done with filtering. We're going to cover that up, and we're going to move over back to the hood and drop this gold. All right, we've got our solution in the hood, have our stump out, SMD. So we'll drop our gold precipitated out of solution as pure gold. So we're just going to add ourselves a teaspoon in here. I'm not expecting a ton of gold, so I'm not going to go crazy. But we'll see what we get. So add that teaspoon. You can already see a little discolored, and boom, there it all goes just like that. That's my favorite when you see that instant change. Add a little bit more. That's probably enough. Go ahead and stir that around. Do a quick stannous test. It's a stannous chloride. It's an indicator whether gold is still in solution. Bring it out, take a look-see. And we have no color change, so it is fair to say we have no gold left in solution. So we're going to go ahead and cover this and let it settle, and then we'll proceed to washing, drying, and cleaning that gold up. All right, so our gold has settled. We've decanted off the solution, left the gold in the bottom. The first step of washing, we put some hydrochloric acid in here, and we're doing a quick hydrochloric boil. This is going to pull any additional metals out, and you can see from that yellow color that there are still some contaminant metals in this powdered gold. So we're going to let that boil water, pull as many of those out as we can. Then we're going to rinse that off. Next to it, I've got some boiling water. We're going to do a number of hot water washes to really clean as much of the contaminant metals out of this powder as we can. Okay, so we're going to pull our solution down, let the bubbling stop, and then we'll start our wash process. Of course, one of the first steps, gonna bring up my temporary stock pot that we just emptied. You can see a little fluid in there from the dumping of that original solution after settling. And we're just going to go ahead and get this lined up and take all the rinses, hydrochloric boils, water boils, everything we have right into here. Any gold that's potentially gone in solution or any of the little bit of powder that comes over in the rinses, come right in here to settle, and some point down the road we'll do this whole thing again and recover that as well. See a nice little bit of gold in there, probably more than I anticipated. As we go through this, I'm not unhappy about that. The good thing is, unless you throw it away, you never lose it. So we can switch into hot water here. So I got some hot water in there, going to swirl it around. Going to do several of these hot water rinses. The one thing you can see there, I'll show it here, is that it settles very quickly. The gold is no longer that really fine powder that likes to stay suspended in solution. Makes this a really easy process to go through. We're just going to do this over and over, get as much of the acid out, as much of any other contaminants that'll come with it out. All right, so we've done our wash. I've put the powder on a warm dish, not hot. The heat isn't on. The dish has just got leftover warmth on it from the other uses. So let's see what we got here. Going to tear out this beaker to 0. Going to take our dry powder, pretty good looking powder, go in here and see what we come up with. And it looks like we're going to come in right at 7.33 grams. All right. Well, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe. I have several more lined up, and I hope to have you back again. Thank you.